Am I the a-hole for exposing my friend's lie to his ex-girlfriend? I am a 43-year-old woman who has a 41-year-old male friend we will call Mike. I met Mike around Christmas last year, and we felt some pretty strong feelings for each other, but suffered from bad timing and a big case of essentially nerves. I only mention this to see if folks think it is relevant. Shortly thereafter, Mike met a girl and began dating her. She did not want him having female friends, and he was desperate to have a relationship as he has low self-esteem and social awkwardness. I was not happy but bowed out. A few months later, Mike shows up because his girlfriend and he broke up, and he was devastated. I tend to have pretty extreme empathy. I have the unfortunate ability to feel what other people feel for whatever reason, and the pain was eating him alive. I kind of threw myself into caring for him, as did my family. I suppose right now is where I mention that I am polyamorous and have 3 partners. I know how much judgment there is in here. We wanted to let him crash with us a while to get on his feet, and I wanted to offer him some unconditional love and nurturing, as he had a horrific childhood and has a hard time functioning. We did not date because he decided poly was not his thing. After a couple of months of me trying everything I could to make him feel loved and supported, I had not made a ton of progress. He was casually dating because he cannot stand to not have a partner, but he felt very little for these women. He promised me he was being ethical and honest with them. It is relevant that I have a moral compass and set of ethics that I adhere to extremely strictly. I do not generally deal with people who treat others poorly. Yesterday, he wanted to harm himself, and I rushed to his side, dropping everything. I held him as he cried all day and lamented that he could not get his stuff back from his ex, as she had blocked him, and he just wanted it done and over with. The way he spoke, it seemed as though there were items of value to retrieve. I had suggested a couple courses of action earlier. First, that I come with him for moral support and to keep things civil. When he said that would not work, I offered to be his legal representation, not lawyer, as I am not one, and that would be illegal, and I would explain that I was mediating the exchange of possessions so as not to need the police. I have acted as legal proxy and stand-in in court for friends before and have training in the matter. He agreed to the solution late at night and asked if we could get it done now, as he knew she would be home and awake. I agreed because he seemed to think this would bring him peace and he would not want to harm himself. As I was gussying up to look professional, he told me that he did not want me using my real name because he did not want her to know it was me, the person she did not want around at the beginning of their relationship. I did not want to and compromised by using my middle name and mother's maiden name, which are legally mine to use. He spoke of wanting closure and having a little hope, but it was vague, and I assumed he meant that the stuff exchange would bring the closure. I asked him how long we would be, and he said just in and out. She did not want to talk. I was exhausted, so I just grabbed my phone and clipboard for any notes and left everything else at his place. We took his car. We got in the apartment building by the grace of a kind resident and knocked on her door. When she did not answer, I announced who I was and my purpose. I could hear her moving around, so I said I would leave her a note explaining the next steps and that we did not want the police to have to step in. She opened the door then, and I asked if she would help me out and make this easy so she would not have to deal with him again. She then got his stuff, which consisted of pillowcases, t-shirts, and soap dispensers, not the important stuff I had thought we would be getting. Mike then dismissed me to wait in the lobby as he was talking to her. I went and realized that his stuff was meaningless, and he used me to lure her out so he could talk to her when she did not want to talk to him. Angry at him, and also mostly at myself, I decided to not participate any further and did go to the lobby, kicking myself for being gullible and planning a talk with him for after. I sat for a bit and got a "we are talking, hang tight" text from him. After half an hour, it hit me that I had not eaten anything for 12 hours nor drank any water really. I had also not taken my blood pressure pills. I had recently been diagnosed with hypertension and was still getting used to the regimen. I began to feel terrible but chalked it up to anxiety that I get from my post-traumatic stress. After another 20 minutes or so, I think I began sweating buckets. I went outside to circle the block a few times and cool off. I began to be dizzy, lightheaded, headachy, heart pounding, and my chest hurt, and my face was losing sensation. I scrambled around looking in my pockets and discovered I did not have any medicine nor any money on me, and I also did not know the address where I was. I became disoriented and texted Mike. I texted him several times with no answer. I called one of my partners to come for me, but he was half an hour away and I did not know where I was. I called Mike several times to no avail, and I began to panic, thinking he had abandoned me and I could not get to my pills or money. I went back to the building and managed to get in. I sat and tried to think, but my cognition was impaired. I texted Mike again. Finally, I made it to the elevator to go up and somehow find out where I was without blowing his cover. I made it up, and he was cuddling with his ex by the elevator. She saw me and her obvious concern washed over me. He, however, looked panicked and kept saying, "Okay, thank you very much," like he was dismissing hard help. I was gasping, trying to make eye contact with him to indicate my distress, but he kept shooing me. By then I was fading, I was going to pass out, and I had a feeling of doom. I thought I was going to die. I needed to be taken seriously for one, and for two, if I was leaving this world, my first thought was to not let this poor woman be lied to, so I blurted out who I really was and that I had deceived her. She got up and left, and he followed her. I collapsed in the elevator and crawled out to a chair in the lobby and called an ambulance. I was hardly coherent and could not find an address anywhere, so I patched my partner in so he could trace my phone with the Find My Phone app. As I was crying and drenched with sweat, Mike came down furious. When he realized I was in distress and might be having a heart attack, he found the address for me, but tried to see if he could drive me instead. As he was talking with the dispatcher, I stumbled out of the building and passed out. Next thing I know, my partner was there, as was the ambulance, and my blood pressure was clocking at 197/150 and my heart rate at like 135 or something. My partner was chewing Mike out for not answering my texts and calls. Mike was saying that if he had, his ex would have seen my name and the cover would have been blown, and how was he supposed to know something was wrong? I thought my partner was going to punch him as he sputtered out that several calls and texts in immediate succession was a sign something was wrong. Mike said he thought I was just impatient. By now the emergency medical technicians had done more tests and my blood pressure lowered a bit, and my EKG came back saying no heart attack. They explained I likely had a hypertension attack, which I did not know was a thing, and they told me we had to go to the hospital because another one could cause a heart attack. I refused because Mike was upset and still had not told me he was not going to harm himself, so I could not leave him. They let me sign a waiver, and we went to get my things from Mike's. I was sobbing saying I was sorry, but I had to do the right thing. I had a split second to think, and I had to do the right thing by telling her the truth. I had gotten her to leave her apartment under false pretenses, and I had to undo the situation I created. Mike was bitterly angry, but holding it back, saying he would check on me in the morning, but that there had to be something else I could have done other than tell who I really was. I had doctor's appointments scheduled early, so I left, eliciting a promise that he would not hurt himself. Today, he texted to ask how I was doing and then laid into me that I had betrayed him, that clearly my illness was not that bad. If the ambulance let me go, they legally cannot keep me, and why could not I think of something else? Why did not I anticipate that he would take a long time and bring what I needed? I was clearly only friends with him to sabotage his dating life, and why, if I thought I was going to die, did I not think of his predicament instead of doing the ethical thing that would make me feel better? I was shocked as I found this insensitive, as did my family. He came over to talk in person to see if he could forgive me. He softened somewhat on seeing me, but still felt I betrayed him, and he said everyone he spoke to agreed with him turned out to be the two girls he was dating. He said that he had no idea that I could get sick. I know I told him I had hypertension. He saw me not eat or drink. Something else I did not tell him because I did not want to put the focus on me was that I had had a miscarriage very recently, and though it was very, very early stages, I am still bleeding it out some, as the doctor said I would likely be okay that way, and I was to go to the hospital if it got worse. I told him this when he said that if it were him, he would have just sucked it up and dealt with the attack and not do what I did. The knowledge of the miscarriage did not move him. My family laid into him pretty good, and he said we would talk tomorrow. I do not know that I will talk with him. I do not think I am wrong, but he is so sure and so adamant that I feel like I am losing my mind. I also hate giving up on people, and I know that I could be seeing things wildly differently than him. Was I wrong? Make sure to comment what you think, leave a like and follow.